good? Okay, never mind. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Canadian Bowler Show. This is Michael Patulli. I'm here joined by my fabulous co-host, Daryl Fitzgerald. How's it going today, Daryl?
Well, it was okay up until like 30 seconds ago. Our streaming software decided to do a large update after Christmas, and since we haven't streamed since then, when I did the update, it reset a bunch of our settings, which included audio. Fantastic. Always a good start, but glad to be here. Anyway.
Yeah, I knew it was a good start to the day when you had to do a couple different logins before we could even start the show live. That's why we were, 2 minutes late or 3 minutes late. So
Yeah.
Our apologies. Gotta love the joys of technology and doing a live show. So thanks everyone for joining us. If you are here, please do hit those like, comment, subscribe buttons. We do appreciate all the interactions we can get. Hitting those buttons really helps us bring the show forward and push it along as much as we can. So please do hit those buttons. If you're not able to check the show out live, we do post on all major podcasting platforms within the week. So you'll be able to check us out if podcasting is your thing on all major platforms. We're also on YouTube the same day. So you can check us out after the fact if you're not able to get us live as well. So I guess lots to talk about, Daryl. Holy moly. Oh, yeah, there we are. Yeah, sorry. Before I forget about the sponsor of the show, bowlsincanada.com. If you are requiring any sort of lawn bowls, they are the Henselite supplier for North America. So please do check out the website there, bowlsincanada.com. They have a great selection of bowls, and then they have pretty awesome new rolling bags. So if you do need yourself a new bowls bag, they have some pretty cool looking bowls bags. Yeah, Daryl, you definitely do need a bag. We're gonna have to hook you up there. It's a very good idea. It might be a birthday present for you or something like that.
Yeah, my bag is on its last legs. Every zipper except for the two that I never use, which is why they're still okay, has conveniently exploded, so I can never use them again. So fantastic. But Ryan Stadnick and Bob's Big Bull Bob Seltzer in the chat. Happy New Year. Glad to see you guys back. If you have questions, if you have chat, if you want to have any comments on the stuff that we're talking about, please throw it in the chat. We love the interaction with the audience. So if you're here, send us a message and let us know.
So we have a lot of info to cover this show, so I feel like we should jump into it. Personally, I'm just gonna 180 from the list you got there, Daryl, and I'm gonna do some shameless self-promotion, but I'm gonna make the first topic the Canadian Bowler Open. So Daryl and I hadn't even announced the entries were open officially, but we filled the tournament at this point. So I guess we wanted to do a thank you to everyone who got in there and entered the tournament. So the tournament is currently full. If you are interested in the event, please do check out our website and get your entries in as soon as possible. The Canadian Bowler Open is going to be, you can correct me if I get this wrong, Daryl, August 29th to September 1st in Calgary, Alberta. Our primary host is currently Calgary Lawn Bowling Club, and we are in the process of expanding the event, so bringing in a second club in Calgary. At this point, we can't confirm that we're expanding the event, but very strong possibility that it's going to be happening. So if you are interested in getting in on the event, I would recommend getting your name on the waiting list. The singles, we would like to expand to 64. So have essentially doubling our event or close to doubling our event from last year. So as I think sits right now, we're over 64. We have probably about 7 or so on that waiting list. So I'd probably get your name on it if you are interested in playing, because once I think provincials start happening, once people start their bowling seasons, we're probably going to see quite a few people fall off that list who are confirmed. So probably worthwhile putting your name in. Pairs, I think there's only 1 or 2 teams on that waiting list right now. So you could definitely get your name on that as well. But again, we wanted to thank everyone who supported the event. Blows us away. The response we've gotten each of the last 2 years, we're pretty excited to run it again. We have a lot of new ideas. I don't know if Daryl, you want to take over the some of the other logistical or changes of the event.
Yeah, I mean, just a second on what you said there, Mike. The response has been overwhelming. Personally, I mean, I can tell from all the emails and entry forms that I was sorting through and responding to over kind of the New Year's Christmas break was crazy. Um, it was just a couple of weeks, and we had basically filled up the event, which is just unheard of. As far as every other tournament that I've tried to run or event, that's just unheard of. So the response has been excellent. Obviously, we've struck a chord with many people on the format that we're doing and the event that we're running, which is really cool to see. We are, as we said we did, we were in at the end of last year looking at the survey results, making some minor tweaks to everything just to make it run smoother and hopefully more enjoyable for everybody. But we're also going on with the promise that we said we'd make it bigger and better. So expansion is number one. We're looking at trying to expand that, which Mike has already talked about. We are putting up a $15,000 prize pool. So we're last year it was approximately 10,000. This year we're going to go to approximately 15,000, with the potential to go more. We are sourcing out sponsors and other ways to inject some money into the event, but we're going to go with that. We're raising the top prize, 1,500 for singles, up from 1,000 last year, and we're going to 3,000 for pairs, which is 1,500 each, which is up 1,000 from last year, which was at 2,000. So there's going to be a lot of money available, a lot of prizes. Obviously, it's going to be a much bigger event than it was last year, especially if we do get that expansion. And I'm really looking forward to it. It's exciting. It seems so far away, but I know that those months are going to just catch up, and then we're going to be scrambling to put some last minute things together. So I'm super excited, and I hope everybody out there is excited as well.
Yeah, the last sort of thing I'll mention about it is we are going to have the King and Queen of the Green awards back again. So that's the player of the tournament. So if you are interested getting in there, it's worthwhile to be in both events because there also is that additional cash prize to win the King and Queen of the Green. So please do get your entries in. Check out the website. We will have lots of news coming out about the tournament in the coming weeks. I imagine we're going to have lots of new info about sort of accommodations, everything like that. I expect there'll be lots of news about sponsors, everything like that. We have lots of things that are in what coals in the fire, I guess is the term. We just don't want to reveal things obviously before we have everything in line. So thanks again. I guess we can, unless you had something else, we can move on to other topics, Daryl. We got lots to cover.
No, I was just going to say that we were planning to roll some of this stuff out a little later. Not expecting kind of the influx of people. I know everybody's been asking about accommodations and some other stuff. We're just into February, and I didn't think it would be at this stage right now. So we are working on accommodations. We are working on all this stuff. So like Mike said, announcements will be coming, and we'll try to get them out as fast as possible.
Perfect. Yeah. So I guess we can move on. Do you have a topic you want to cover next, Daryl? Because I've kind of went off the beaten path.
Let's go to the recent World Bulls Tour results. We had the World Bulls Tour event that took place at Potters. If you didn't get a chance to see it, some fantastic bulls were played, some really cool games, and some historic events ended up happening as well. I'll just go over some of the results here. We have on this screen, we have Robert Paxton and Jason Banks. Jason Banks taking down the singles. Jason Banks is from Scotland. Robert Paxton is from England. Jason Banks beat Robert Paxton 2-0, 10-4, and 11-9. Jason was playing fantastic that whole time. Mike, any comments about the singles event itself?
Yeah, like Jason was absolutely incredible. Like I think I watched each of the last 3 matches that he played, and his draw game was just absolutely incredible. Like the ability to essentially just throw these perfect touch draws or just slight pushes on bulls. I've never seen the ability to kind of throw almost like a pushing weight with the ability that he was throwing it. So he played absolutely incredible, and I'm not going to spoil the rest of the results, but he definitely deserved to win the singles there.
Move on to the open pairs and some familiar faces there again. Jason Banks and Michael Stepney from Scotland beat Robert Paxton, England, and Jason Greenslade from Guernsey. 2-1, 10-9, 6-8, and then tiebreaker of 2-0. Again, Jason taking down another big event. Michael Stepney, Robert Paxton, and Jason Greenslade, all champions in their own right. But yeah, I mean, another really good game. Pairs was fun to watch. Any thoughts, Mike?
Yeah, it's a pretty wild format. The two bowl pairs.
Mm-hmm.
It's really quick, very volatile. Like some ends, just massive swings. You get pretty high scores or quick turnarounds in games. So again, though, Jason and Michael played terrific in the final. And then it's kind of weird that you see Rob losing both the singles and the pairs final, but obviously he's not going to be too terribly upset. I don't think. Just to make finals in both events is pretty awesome, and then just the other team played great against them. So
And then we had a new event this year, the World Masters Championships. The gold went to Ian Bond, and the silver went to Billy Jackson. Ian beat Billy 1.5 set to a half set, 7-7 and 7-6. So really tight match. Really good bowls played there. I find it really neat to see a Masters Championship at this event. What are your thoughts, Mike?
I thought it was really cool. If don't get, I could correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this was returning players, is what I'd heard. Is what this event was essentially. They were bringing players from the past
Yeah.
to come and play, and so I quite enjoyed seeing names that I hadn't seen in quite a while. Like I was familiar with Ian Bond's name, and I'd seen Billy Jackson's name lots in the past before, but it's been a while. Um, and I think it was Mike Bester in Canada actually came up with an interesting topic. I'll ask you, put you on the spot. So, if you were to bring back a player, I'll say alive or dead, who could go play in an event like this or the Masters event, I'll give Mike Bester the credit. He's the one who came up with this idea. Who would you want to see as the player to return to come and play one more time on the blue carpet?
Oh man. Uh, that's a tough one. I don't know. I don't have a good answer for that. Uh,
I'll give you mine.
okay.
I would love to see Dave Bryant play again. Just to see the pipe on the green actually would probably be the one thing I would be super pumped up to see. But his ability back in the day with just the wide drawing bowls was incredible. So I'd love to see him play one more time. But I'm sure there's lots of other great options out there, and I think whichever forum I saw it, it was probably Talking Bulls in Canada. I think I saw it in. There was lots of options people were putting out there, and there's lots of great players that I think you could bring back. And I think there's lots of options for this event going forward. They're probably going to be able to bring back some pretty cool names.
There are, and hopefully a lot more overseas ones. So, those ones that you kind of saw once and out, like Kirko to come back and play. That would be really cool. Something like that. Ladies match play. Um, a really cool event here. Julie Forrest taking down the gold over Beth Riva, 21 years old, which is incredible. Julie beat Beth 1.5 sets to a half set, 11-8, 8-9. I think they messed up here. Anyway, and the tiebreaker was 2-0.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool game to watch live. See the new young player, and she really gave Julie Forrest everything she could. Like Julie almost had that second set wrapped up, and then Beth made two really nice shots to essentially swing that set in her favor. So it was quite the game. Actually, went really back and forth. I quite enjoyed that one, and it's always good to see a new female essentially emerge and contend or play, give really good games against someone like Julie, who's won multiple titles.
Mixed pairs. We have Jason Banks and Beth back again. Two players obviously at the top of their game during this event. Jason taking down his third title of this event. And I do have a picture of the silver. So the second place went to Paul Foster and Catherine Rednall. Obviously, two legends of the carpet right there. Beth and Jason beat Catherine and Paul 12-5, and then split 10-10 in the final. So another good match there. I mean, heavyweights of the blue carpet. Thoughts on that win?
No, like again, the quality of Jason and Beth was evident that week. You could see it from both of them, and it's again when you see the second place team of essentially two people who've won. I don't even know. I couldn't tell you 10 plus championships on that carpet before. Yeah, just shows the level of play that they've both obviously achieved to, and I expect to see both of their names all over the WBT results for years to come now.
And out of that came some cool history. Jason Banks taking down all three, so singles, pairs, and mixed pairs. Three events.
First time ever.
Yeah. Crazy results. I think anybody from Canada that's been over there and has played on it knows just how hard it is even to crack the event, but to actually make your run through every single event and not lose a match is an insane result. And kudos to Jason for making history there. And he made even more history as when he went home, we now have the Jason Banks Arena. Now, my pronunciation is going to be bad, but it's the Indoor Bowling Club of Garriock. Maybe. Hopefully that's right. But anyways, yeah, Jason Banks Arena. Being such a phenomenal bowler, just at the height of his game right now, and making a historic feat of those three events. Definitely a cool addition to that week that he was there. What are your thoughts?
Well, it's a huge honor for him, obviously. I think we've seen it a couple other times with players who've had really good results in that sort of the UK area. Like I think there's a Jeremy Henry arena and a Gary Kelly arena. But it's well deserved. Obviously, the three-peat is. I'm disappointed you don't have the one of him laying across in like a seductive manner. They took a great photo of him like laying down with the Scottish flag in the background. But yeah, it's absolutely incredible to win all three, not lose a single game, and then to have the arena named after him. I'm sure he's absolutely tickled pink with that one because it's great to probably your home club going forward. You're going to have your name all over it, and then sort of have that honor is a big thing for a lot of people.
Yeah, really neat. I don't know. Maybe they'll name a green after us in Calgary, Mike. After we successfully run the CBO multiple times. Well, We'll just float that out there.
I think you got. I think we got to do a lot of work there, Daryl. That's a lot of years worth of work, I think. So I guess we can probably move on to. Oh no, I'm gonna skip again to probably our most loaded topic. I'd say that we have probably a lot of people have um, came here for this conversation. The Canadian Nationals format was announced. So after much speculation, there was leaks of format and emails and things on all the different channels. It actually came out. So the Canadian Nationals has got some fairly significant changes. I don't know. Did you do screen clips here, Daryl, or do you want me to kind of read the notes we got?
I did. There we are.
So I'll sort of take the first little bit and then I'll hand it over to you at one point here. So the majors, the main changes. So I guess the one thing that I'll say is I am a member of sort of the task force that Bulls Canada put together to try and change or take some of the feedback in and make changes to the format from last year. And so they're calling this an abridged format, so it's essentially a temporary or an interim format for 1 year. Pretty much what happened is our group met, we sent out a survey, gave a reasonable amount of time for people to respond to said survey, and by the time we were able to review that data and make a decision or make some decisions, we're already sitting at December at that point. And then it's kind of puts the whole BCB, everyone behind the eight ball if we're not announcing even the nationals and have hosts in place by February, March, right? So they kind of made the decision and it was voted on President's Council, BCB, everything to pretty much run this interim format for 1 year. And then our task force is going to continue to gather feedback going forward. And there's going to be further revisions or changes made for next year. So, sort of the simplification of my understanding of what's going to be happening going forward. The changes for next year, if I go directly into what Daryl's got on the page here, still going to be 8 spots. So that's staying the same from last year. They're still having New Brunswick and PEI combined to make it same as 2024. Provincial representation is where there's a pretty significant change. So instead of it being 5-a-side, they're allowing provinces to choose how they want to send their teams. So it can be individual event champions, essentially doing a 10-person format, or you could be running the traditional or running the 5-side format, just like a lot of provinces did last year. I already know, I think a few different provinces have said they're doing the 10-person format. I would be I think it's a very strong possibility my province, Saskatchewan, is doing the 10-person format, sending the individual event winners. But yeah, that's what the main change is that they're now allowing the individual winners or the provinces to select how they're selecting their winners. So that's a pretty big change. And they're kind of almost moving away from it being, I guess, a 5-a-side format where the team results matter or the overall results matter. And it's more of like an individualized 4 disciplines, I guess. They're still going with the singles, pairs, triples, fours. Slight change to the singles, so it's 2 7-end sets with a 3-end tiebreaker. So that mirrors the Champion of Champions event. So they just made a slight change there instead of the 1-end tiebreaker. And then the pairs, triples, and fours is now 12-end games with no tiebreakers. So we removed sets play, and it is now 12-end games. Kind of almost not a happy medium, but it's a medium between the old style we had of 16 and 18 end games and 10 and 12. It still keeps it under that 2-hour time limit that we would have to kind of keep under so that the event can run in as you're seeing, their maximum 5 days of playing. So the events are essentially all done within 2.5 days, and it's a lot shorter, I guess, compact nationals. So what are your initial thoughts on this, Daryl?
Well, we'll go back to us. Um, I mean, in general, the without going into like super details on past format and this format, but um, I think they're all positive changes. I know I was one of the people that didn't particularly like sets, played them, did fairly well at them last year, but um, not a fan of sets, so it's kind of cool to see ends played. But as a general kind of overview of all the format changes, I think um, everything is pretty positive. I think we tried to address um, some of the big topics that I saw on some of the social media threads and other things that popped up. So that's cool to see, and I think hopefully this will run better. I think the format was like a minor part of some of the problems that the championships had last year. So hopefully with this change, we see all the provinces back and doing their events, which will be one of the huge um, downfalls last year that happened, as well. The just the event itself, the logistical um, stuff that went on uh, over the week of how it was played and all the delays and weird game times and stuff like that was just awful. So hopefully with a more situated, clear venue and people running it, it'll just run better, which was another one of the big hurdles that this had last year.
Yeah, in general, I'm pretty happy with the changes. Personally, I was with you there. I strongly dislike the sets play. It's pretty tough. Specifically, the one end tiebreakers are awful. Like they make or break your whole entire event. Like our game, I think, if correct. Oh no, we didn't play you in a. We didn't end up going to a tiebreaker that game, but our last game that we played in the fours literally decided who was going to the medal rounds, and then it was like we had to not go to a tiebreaker with you, and some other team had to not go to a tiebreaker just because they had these silly connotations with it. So I didn't enjoy that. And I like that it's ends. So it's who has the most points because it just makes it a more honest game. It's tough when you win a set 9-0 and then lose the next set 4-3 and then you lose the tiebreaker. Like it's a tough format. So I'm happy to see that it's now 12 ends. Bob in the chat there. Um, I can I agree. The 3 end tiebreaker for the singles is huge. It's going to make that much more enjoyable for a lot of people. I know his wife Kathy was one of the victims of losing a lot of the singles games in the tiebreakers, so it's tough. When his also comment there, BC comes back. It sounds very likely that BC is going to be back. So from the info that I've got from the different meetings, it sounds like we would be seeing BC back, and sounds like they're one of the provinces that's going to do a 10-person format. So it'd be very nice to have them back in the fold as well. So I guess that's something that's not on your form that you'd sort of put on the page there, but two big improvements there in my opinion. I know from a Saskatchewan perspective, we needed to change the way that the 5-a-side went because last year our provincial participation was completely terrible. So I think the individual events has to happen for us now because we're such a small province compared to other ones. Like you guys actually, I think, had good participation numbers when we didn't, and we have to go back to sort of the traditional individual events, win and you go type of format because a lot of the sort of we'll call them mid-level competitive bowlers, it's hard to field a competitive team when you have to be with 5 people. So I think we're probably going to see an uptick in our participation in Saskatchewan because specifically like singles, pairs, triples, you can probably pretty easily field a team rather than having to rely on a full team of 5. What are your thoughts, Daryl?
It's this year's going to be messy, and I don't think we're going to see. Um, I find it really tough. So I mean, we call it a 5-a-side, and I think Mike, you've heard me say it a bunch of times that it's not really a 5-a-side. I think the concept in the beginning and the thoughts was that it would be a five-a-side, but when I think of a five-a-side, it's the team of five, and based on all of their results, would win the championship as a team of five. So you would play against another five in the disciplines, say in the semifinal, in the final, or whatever, and you would come out on top as the top team of five. Where this is more of just a 5-person championship. So however you mix it up, it's not even a 5-person championship because now everybody, it looks like almost every province is just going to be sending individual representatives, and the possibility of doubling up. Obviously, if you do fours and like fours and trips, you could play 2 disciplines or something like that. But it's not really a five-a-side. If it was a five-a-side, it would actually be the Lady Alexander and the Psy English would be your top prize. And it's still just one of those things that's, it's kind of cool to have. It's neat to see that you were the top 5 players. I mean, obviously, my team won it last year, but other than maybe you and me, does anybody else remember that? And maybe my team, like maybe not, because it didn't really matter that much. It wasn't a huge thing, which is unfortunate because I think that was the concept of it, but it didn't really come out that way. So I still think there's probably a lot more that can be done to iron this out and make it truly a really cool event and something that's really, really fun. I'll say I had a ton of fun last year. The provincials were one of the most fun provincials I've been at in recent memory, maybe even completely. Unfortunately, Ontario's, that was a one and done, and we're going back to individual events. So we've gone from 2 weekends of intense play, shortening everything down in the province, opening up some weekends so that other tournaments can run and other things. OLBA has decided to expand to individual events. So that means four weekends, possibly even 3-day weekends if their entries are going up as they, I assume, think that they are based on going to this change. So I really don't like it. I don't like that we're just doing kind of whatever at a provincial level and then kind of saying it's a five-a-side when it's not really. It's just you're shortening the games. So it's just like an abbreviated championship with shorter, faster games, different format, but you're not really doing a five-a-side. And the provinces aren't doing a five-a-side, so it's not really that anymore, which is unfortunate. I had a lot of fun last year. I think the format was not perfect, but it was okay. And if this format had gone in last year and we had done the same thing, I think it would have been much more enjoyable. But yeah, those are my thoughts. I'm not really excited anymore. I think you knew I was more on the super positive side last year, saying go and try it, do these things, give it a shot. I'll probably try to give it a shot this year, and maybe I'll go into one event. I highly doubt I'll go into all 4 because kids work and cost. I don't think I can expand it out to 4 weekends anymore. But I'll probably give it a try. I'll have to talk to my team, who's the odd man out. We had a team of 5. We were locked in to play again. The team of 5 that we took last year. Now we have to have those discussions on who's playing what and who's teaming up with who in certain events and where we go from here, which sucks too.
Yeah, no, I think that you brought up a good point that it's going to be kind of awkward to figure out a couple of the logistical things, like if you have a team of 5, how you're splitting down for each event, because there's always an odd man out or an odd person out to go figure out who's playing where. And then even the cost part of it, you brought up a very good point that I think probably every province is going to be splitting up their total funding they have in some weird way to fund the teams that are going. So you probably are going to get very little money if you only won a single event, and you're only going to nationals now for essentially 2 days. So it's probably going to be a pretty expensive format for some people. I know a lot of people do play for the love of the game anyways at this point, but I still think it's something people like, or it's a pride type of thing that you do get some of your trip or a good portion of your trip covered. So it'll be very interesting. I'm kind of the same. I think you said you were optimistic last year. You moved to more pessimistic side. I'm still kind of that middle of the road where like I don't really know if it's going to be perfect or not, but I think it's better than it was personally. But again, I don't really know until actually the season starts and we start running provincials and everything here.
I will say, like, I don't think it could be. I mean, it is possible, but I don't think it's going to happen that the way it was run in Milton last year was a complete gong show. I don't think, obviously, that's going to happen again. I think people saw that and were like, oh my God, that was really bad. I assume that's going to be fixed, so that I haven't kind of factored that in, but I do hope that Bulls Canada actually takes a more active role in it this year. Like last year, I saw them there, but I don't know what they were doing or what they did to make the tournament run better or whatever. So I hope that, you know, whatever province hosts it, and Bulls Canada actually take a more active role in this and see and try to make it go better.
No,
If that
fair
makes sense.
points. Yeah, no, I would agree with portions of what you said there. Like it makes complete sense to me. I think there's lots of improvement for the logistical parts and just the physical experience that occurred last year. So definitely.
I'll put it out there, like no streaming last year was super shitty. If they want to contract us, we're for hire. We can stream. We've proven we can stream. We have the equipment. So give us a call. Our fees are reasonable, and we'll be happy to actually stream the event if you want to.
Very true. No, I like it. Good plug for the streaming part of the channel. Very well. Put a couple people in the chat. So Big Bull Bob, happy that BC's coming back.
That's a
Me
good
too.
one. Yeah.
Pat Voss agreeing with you that wasn't really what she expected for the five-a-side, and I agree. I think the initial idea of the five-a-side was there, and then it's been essentially bastardized multiple times, and that it's just been kind of diluted to the point where we shouldn't even be calling it a five-a-side or use that word anymore, because kind of what you said, I think they're still going to hand out that overall trophy in the end, and it's just kind of going to be an extra add-on when we're really looking at it as you're qualifying for individual events and you're going to nationals. Yeah.
It's, I mean, if you look at, like, Australia has a really big five-a-side. If you look at theirs, you can see that format, and like WOBA runs, I won't say like a super traditional, but like a five-a-side as well, where the team of five is the ultimate winner of their trophies. So it's one of those that, if you want to see how a true five-a-side runs and how fun it is fun. Whether it's a national format, I mean, we can debate that all night long, but if you want to see how fun it is and give it a try, sign up for WOBA. The five-a-side there is super fun.
Yes, good plug for a great tournament.
I saw Ryan go into chat, so I had to say it.
Yeah, a couple more good comments. So Pat saying that we need to stream the pair. I would agree with her. That'd be actually a good idea. Maybe we both of us don't qualify. That could be our calling, Daryl. Maybe let's go stream some para.
There you go.
Especially if it's close to the Canadian Bowler Open. Maybe it's save us some travel expenses. I don't know. Also in the chat, Pierre Vanderhoot, very good question. Do I think the options for 2026 would be a completely open nationals? Personally, I don't think that's an option. I think open nationals Canada would struggle. We can think back I don't even know what year they tried the open singles for about 5 years, 20, like we'll say 17, 16, somewhere in that range. I don't know the year off the top of my head. The problem with the opens format is wherever you run it, it's going to be a very regional and localized event. So one year it was in Saskatchewan, and I think you had a vast majority of the players were from essentially Saskatchewan, Alberta, and a few from Manitoba type of thing, and then a couple select players from Ontario, BC, etc. So I think it wherever it's run, it's exactly a regional event, and then it struggles. Canada's, I think, too big of a country, unfortunately, to run a completely open event. I think you have to close it, make it up very much. I like the one thing with the change last year, limiting it to 8 entries, I think was a valiant attempt to try and make it more of a pride based thing where that you qualified and you're going to nationals and you're representing your province and trying to add a little more prestige to qualifying. Um, I wouldn't object to a fully open event because like a cool big open event, kind of like a US Open for Canada would be really cool. Again, though, I just think logistic wise, um, it'd be tough to do that type of an event. I personally, I think the changes that would be occurring next year would be more format tweaks. And then I don't know about the budget side of things. That's where I'm completely head in the sand per se. But I think budget wise, it would probably be a struggle to expand things further. And it might be a even further reduction in how many events are offered. Maybe cut it from fours, triples, pairs, singles to maybe triples, pairs, singles. But I don't know if I'm going to advocate for something. I think we need to bring back the seniors personally, and that's the main thing I think is that there needs to be a return of the seniors, along with some sort of other events still offered, whatever fits within a budget, and kind of go from there.
Canadian bowler or seniors, Mike? Maybe, I don't know.
We could do it.
Masters event? How about Masters? Yeah, Canadian bowler
Ooh,
Masters. Ooh, that
that
might
sounds
go.
that's got a
Yeah.
nice ring to it.
Write it on the list of to dos. Uh, yeah, I mean that's a good question, and I think Mike, you nailed it. Like we're so big, and I mean a lot of it comes down to money. Um, the singles, like there wasn't a lot of money there, and then you had the additional cost of champion and champions afterwards, right? If you won, um, it deters a lot of people. It's like, do I want to enter the open on my own dime, go to say a Saskatchewan or BC or wherever you're flying halfway across the country, um, to do that where my return is more cost if I want to go to the champions, it's a tough sell. If it was something like, I won't say it's big, but let's say like the Australian Open where there's a ton of money on the line and it's a huge festival thing and there's lots of stuff to do and whatever, that would be different. But if it's just our traditional quiet open event, it's not very attractive, I don't think, personally.
Yeah, no, I think you're hitting it on the head. Like, I think the problem we run into with the size, me and you talked about this before the show, so I think it's still a valid point. I should bring it up. The change that's made, we're almost moving towards what Bowls England does or has done for years, where they run all of their events in succession and they have all these different disciplines that you can qualify for, and they run pretty much these 2 day nationals over the span of what 2 weeks, I think, at Leamington Spa.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those things where Canada, we maybe could adopt a format like that, maybe pick a certain green that's one we're going to keep playing it. But again, I think you're going to get that regional complaint where you're going to get the people from the West that hate it's always hosted in Ontario or vice versa, right? So
Yeah.
I think we're too big, and that's just the problem where England is England. It's what, a quart, not even a quarter. I don't even know the logistic size. It's a hell of a lot smaller than Canada, and it's much easier to get to a centralized location than it is here. So I would love it. I just don't think it'll happen.
I was gonna say, like, if you took the UK and shoved it into Ontario, I think you can fit it a number of times. I can't remember exactly how many, um, and that kind of tells you that even just our provinces alone have more distance to travel than some of the other big countries that do this. Um, Ryan in the chat, Ryan Static, I would love to see a tournament where how you qualify is universal across the board: club, district, zone, province, national, and then the final. And I kind of agree with that. That's the trouble I'm having with this national format is um, it's kind of, this is what we're doing at the nationals. We're calling it kind of a 5-person team, 5-a-side, which it it really isn't anymore, because everything underneath it is, do what you want and send the people to represent. So there's no continuity and likeness. So it's like eventually people will get there however they get there based on what their province wants to do, sending their champions, and then you just have them facing off, and it may be the same person facing off multiple times. It may be a different person in every discipline. Who knows? So it's really weird for a national championship, and that's kind of why I'm not super super psyched about it. But we'll see.
All right. I feel like we've been
Oh,
talking about this
I'm wearing a
forever.
green. I'm a Grinch today, so there you go. Yeah, we've beaten this to death, I think, for this thing.
So,
Holy smokes!
if we want to continue, there was other updates with this.
Was there?
Yes. So one of the other ones, I was personally very enthused with the changes that occurred to the youth. I don't know if you want to bring up the page again there, Daryl.
Oh yeah, yep.
So we did not talk about that. So one of the big changes last year is they made youth, we'll just call it a restricted nationals, and then they made it sets play. The changes this year, well, it was U21 last year, I guess, if I'm also adding that in. They've now gone back to the old days, which I think is terrific. They kind of broke a wheel that I didn't think they needed to break. So they now have gone back to U18, so ages 12 to 17 are allowed to play in that. That's a reduction in the age as well. So they're now allowing 12-year-olds when last year you had to be 13. U25 is again 18 to 24. So they're bringing back the U25s, which I think is a terrific idea because there's still a U25 world event, and it makes sense to have our Canadian Championship lead to something rather than a selection process from BCB. So I like that the players are probably, well, I'm going to assume they're playing off. I guess I'm making a big assumption there, but very happy to see that's back. Mixed pairs is combining the categories just like the old days. They're still sticking with the 2N or 2 7N sets with 3N tiebreakers. So essentially exactly the same as the singles at the majors. And again, it's a maximum of 5 playing days. So sort of condensing the event a little bit. But I love that change. The other one is para. So para is open. They still have the B1 to B8 categories, 12N games, and maximum of 5 playing days. Pat could maybe correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, but I don't believe there was any changes to para there. And then that's the same format that they ran last year. I may be completely wrong, but again, it's good to see that the changes across the board there. I personally quite enjoy them. The juniors one specifically made me very happy. I think I vented to you many times. I was very unhappy with how those juniors got changed last year, and then also we've gone over it at nauseum now. The 12Ns, I quite love that change for the majors.
Yeah. Youth check. I like everything about it. I think it was a bit of a miss. I think the reasoning behind it um, wasn't bad. I just think the outcome and the results of it weren't great. So that's a good bonus to get back. And Pat saying Para had sets last year and 1N tiebreaker, and it's now 12Ns. So they're playing against sets. Para, I mean, I think it's still a growing community. So we had more this year than last year, and hopefully we see that again, and we just see it continually grow until it's like a really big, cool event to go to. So I'm glad to see everything back. Indoor isn't on that slate. I think was it Bob that asked about that? So that's still selected. I don't know how they're going to do that going forward. We had the last champions going, right? It's Mike and Linda again.
Yeah, that one's up in the air. I haven't heard what's happening there because I think that relationship with BC is still a little fragile, we'll call it. I did see Pacific Coast Open, I think, announced their dates yesterday, but then I think I saw something today saying they changed their dates, and it looks like it's kind of mid-September. So it's about a month earlier than they ran it last year, which lines up more with, I think, there being an opening for a Canadian indoor championship, but I don't know. To answer your question, Bob, in the chat, I don't know if there's actually what's going to be happening. So I'd hope there is one, because it was an event that I think had a place, and we would send our winners, and our winners actually kind of traditionally do fairly decently at the World Indoor Championships. So I think it's a valid event to have again, but we'll have to wait and see, I guess, if there's going to be a play down for it or not.
Yeah, like I guess kind of what I said, the overall changes to the national program I think are positive. We're still trying to come to whatever the new norm is. I think the people who are really geared towards going right back to what we had before aren't quite grasping the whole picture, and possibly the jump to go way too far that we did last year was a big leap and too much for people. But things have to change. The traditional way we did it wasn't working, and if we kept going, it would have led to a lot more problems than we're seeing today. So the change was needed, not well executed, but it was needed, and hopefully we can get to the right format by tweaking, trying, seeing where things go, and then eventually find that right formula for Canada.
Yep, well said. So I feel like we can move on again. We do have other info to keep covering. It's as we said at the beginning of the show, it's quite the loaded show. What do we want to stick with? Let's go with the order of events. So kind of big Canadian news, for sticking with the Canadian vein. The Atlantic Challenge 2025 will be hosted in Windsor, Ontario, Canada. So September 20th to the 24th, 2025, Canada is hosting their first international event. And I don't even know. Well, they hosted we've hosted North American challenges, but we haven't hosted a major one since what, 90?
Yeah, it's the
What?
90s.
Yeah, 90s, when it was in, I think, with the Commonwealth Games, maybe 94.
94. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh boy, that's a long time.
It's been a
So
long
yeah,
time.
very cool. So we're hosting the Atlantic Challenge. So that's going to consist of Scotland, Northern Ireland, United States, and Canada. So the event that they ran last year in Scotland, they're now running it again. So sounds like it's going to be a regular thing, which is awesome. So that's going to be Windsor from the 20th to the 24th. Very excited that we're going to be hosting an event. I know Windsor is one of the top facilities in Ontario. I've never bowled on it myself, but very happy to see that they were able to take that on. What were your thoughts, Daryl?
Really cool. Windsor has been putting a lot of work into their greens, and the club has been on a steady rise for quite a while. So I think it's cool to see that they're getting this opportunity to showcase, and they have a really great club and a really great membership. So I have no doubt that they'll do a fantastic job of running this event. Obviously, they've got recently retired Don Caswell, so he's probably looking for a new gig. So maybe he'll be one of the people on that committee helping run that. I'm sure he is. So it's in good hands. I'm sure they'll do really well. I hope people take a chance to go down and see it. There's going to be some good international players coming from other countries that you may have heard their names but never seen them in person. So take a chance and go down and see it, and see Team Canada play, and get a taste of what an international event looks and feels like. Sometimes when you see it on streaming or you see it on TV, it doesn't quite look the same as when you're in person. So I suggest take your chance while it's in Canada and go and see it.
Yeah, it'll be your opportunity to see, well, some of these names we just mentioned, WBT, maybe a Jason Banks, someone like that. Hard to say who Scotland is exactly going to be sending, but I'd say there's a possibility you might see him and maybe a Paul Foster. Hard to say. But again, definitely go check it out. It's pretty big that we're hosting, willing to step up and host something. And I think it's just going to be almost a stepping stone to potentially open up further opportunities down the line for Canada.
I think so, and it's about time that we did. I know there's been talks in the past of like maybe we do a junior, maybe we do some other small event where we can't take on something like a World Bowls or a Commonwealth Games where it's just way too big for what we have, and we don't have the money for it. But something like this is definitely something that we can handle. So I'm glad they stepped up and Windsor was chosen to host it. That's really cool.
Yeah. So the other big announcement that came out recently was the World Cup of Bowls. So this was a interesting new idea out of World Bowls. So 2025 World Cup, November 4th to 8th, 2025 in Hong Kong, China. So it's going to be a new event that's hosted every 4 years, similar to soccer's World Cup. Kind of a cool little way to mirror that. The way that it's chosen is apparently the top 11 nations plus Hong Kong, China are invited. So those top 11 nations are so from the World 2023 World Championships. So Australia, Canada, England, India, Ireland, Malaysia, New Zealand, Scotland, South Africa, USA, and Wales. So quite the crew of countries there. I'd say those are all the pretty much the who's who nations of bowls. The format is 6-person teams. So it's 2 open women, 2 open men. And then I absolutely love this 2 physical or visually impaired para bowlers, 1 of each gender. And they're competing in singles and pairs, making 6 events in total. So absolutely love the inclusion, seeing the para included as well as it being um, essentially the regular open male female. It's great to see para being a part of it as well. For a country like us, was could be probably a big step to help us develop our para program to have an event like this. It's being hosted at the Hong Kong Football Club and the Craig and Gower Cricket Club, along with other indoor facilities that will be used. So essentially, it's almost like the Tiger Bowls Hong Kong Classic that we've seen in the past, where there's so many different clubs that are within that general area of Hong Kong Football Club and CCC. So cool, very cool to see it happening. I like kind of the thinking outside the box and adding another event to the schedule, which I think is a little bit of a problem because they've kind of identified that some of these other events are hard to host or hard to figure out logistics wise, and to try these other smaller events are a good way to get other people experience or different bowls events out there. What were your thoughts, Daryl?
Cool event. Recently, obviously, the world, the internet. I'll say the international, not the world, but the international slate of events has been pretty anemic. Like it's, the talk of like when you get named to the national team, it's like, what are your options for going to places? It's not that much. What am I training for? Well, you're training for possibly the Atlantic Challenge, or is is the Commonwealth going to go on? When is World Bowls next, and all this kind of stuff. So it's about time that something else was in there. Obviously, it's a pared down event for countries wise, but I think it also gives some incentive for the countries that are kind of in that bubble, just under that threshold, to put up some really good results, do something to then flip over and relegate someone else out of there. It's kind of a cool to see a smaller group so that you have some battles to get in and out of that event.
Yeah, I love the relegation. Just it feels a lot like soccer to me. That's kind of saying in the mirroring of the 4 years, but it's very cool. I'm excited to see how it runs. And again, I can't harp anymore about how much I'm excited for the para inclusion, because it's going to be a big big help to grow the program here in Canada. So very cool.
I have to say, I mean, Ryan Stadnick in chat here. It's nice to see that the world events are starting to ramp up, and there's a lot more. He's been lacking for work as the interim HPC manager and interim or as the chair of the HPC as well. He's kind of doing double duty. So Ryan's got his work cut out for the next little while.
Yeah, the big dog got his promotions. I guess we should recognize him since
right.
he's in the chat there. Congrats, Ryan, on your interim placement. Well done.
Big Bull Bob in the chat. 2025 US Open will be in Sun City, Arizona, November 2nd to 8th. So exactly at this time, because this one goes from November 4th to 8th.
So anyone who wants to play in the US Open cannot go to the World Cup. Good to know.
Oh, well, there, I'm out. That sucks, huh?
Yeah, we're out. We're out, Daryl. Shoot. I guess we're going to sunny Arizona.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Is that our list?
I think so.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's all we had. I'm again, thank you for the support of the channel. If you are here, please do hit those like, comment, subscribe buttons. I've been loving the interactions in chat tonight. It was
Absolutely.
probably one of our more lively chats. Love the questions. We love to answer your questions. Jump in with whatever your thoughts are. Hitting those like buttons on the videos immensely helps us. So please do hit those buttons. Again, if you are not able to check the show out live, we are on podcasting platforms within the week, and you can check us out anytime on YouTube. We're trying to do everything we can to really make that Canadian Bowler Open as big and bad as it can be. I think we have a lot of grand ideas for future. When Daryl and I weighed to what extent we wanted to expand and make it bigger this year, we kind of went with more of a medium approach to probably what we want to do in the end. So if you're enjoying what we've done with the Canadian Bowler Open, we can fully commit that next year is going to be probably a very significant step forward from what we were even doing this year. So we have some really grand ideas for what we want to end up making that event, and all the support, all the buttons you hit helps us so much, because we literally put everything we get back from this channel into that event, and trying to make that event as big and great as we possibly can. So we appreciate everyone here. Daryl's laughing, so as we got a chat there. What do we got?
Ryan Static, World Bowls ranking event, the Canadian Bowler Open. We are trying. We can honestly say that has been a goal for ours even last year, is to talk to World Bowls, talk to Bowls Canada, and figure out how to get Canadian Bowler Open as a World Bowls ranking event, and make it even more legitimate internationally, and hopefully attract more players in. Unfortunately, those talks have not been responded to as quickly as we'd like to. So
we got Mr. HPC chair in the chat though asking about it. So I think we should maybe grease some wheels, twist some arms for us, Ryan. We could use some help in the background maybe, because we've done a very valiant attempt at this point to try and get it as a recognized ranked event, and we just need some help on the BCB end at this venture. So if you're able to help us out, Ryan, please do, because that is a key thing to us. We want this to be a World Bowls ranking event. So we think that's a key attractive part of expansion, or making our event even better. And I think in future, when we want to expand this event even further, it makes it even more of a thing to draw people in from all across the world. So we'd appreciate any help there. Yes. Pat also in the chat, Roarfest. We definitely would love to see Roarfest happen again. We supported it last year. We were one of the sponsors. We look forward to sponsoring it again. I know that there's some logistical challenges, because they need to figure out where the youth is going to be hosted this year. So yes, I agree with you, Pat. I'm anxiously awaiting that, and can let Daryl and I know when you need the help or some assistance to try and figure out what's going to happen with that. We're very excited to see if that can happen again too.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, thanks again everyone for joining us. It's a bit of a longer show than usual, but we had quite a loaded show. One more last mention for our sponsor, Daryl.
Bulls
Thank
again.
you. bullsincanada.com. So if you do need any sort of lawn bowls, hence light products across North America, they have great selection. Please do check out that website, bullsincanada.com. Okay. Thanks for joining us, everyone. We'll have some more updates and hopefully a show coming sometime in the near future, because we're going to probably have locations, everything to share with you regarding the Nationals, and then lots of updates about the Canadian bowlers. So
Yeah.
thanks again for joining us, and may all your bowls be touchers. Bye.